Hey there, so in today's episode of Star Wars Talk, I'm going to be talking about something that I kind of wanted to talk about, just never have thought about before, never really consciously thought about talking it before, but I'm actually going to do it. And you probably already know if you read the title and saw the thumbnail, the end of the Galactic Empire. Always something I want to talk about, but I want to compare the Canon and Legends version of it, specifically. Both have some good elements in my opinion. I do kind of prefer the Legends overall because I feel like it was I felt like it was a more satisfying ending to the Galactic Empire. Like cause in Kin it is clear it the Galactic Empire ended with the signing of the Galactic Concordance and the Imperial Instrument of Surrender. Boom, simple done. Even though the Galactic Empire has severely started to fracture beforehand, and you had remnants and even some warlords, but nothing much actually happened. Now, one thing I did prefer in the canon is how it was Emperor Palpatine's contingency plan to destroy the Empire so it wouldn't outlive him, even though it did something to a small degree. I did like that, which does help explain how the Empire was able to so completely fall so quickly after the Galactic Empire, after the New Republic was established and founded and all that. But the thing is that we, the audience, particularly if you've read the Aftermath trilogy, will know that stuff. But say if you just watch the movies and maybe a few things offhand, you don't pay a lot of attention to the canon as a whole, just the movies, TV shows, and things you hear online, then you might be confused. Why did the Empire fall so quickly? For a Galactic Empire to fully fall within a year is pretty impressive, especially one such as big as the Galactic Empire. Legends slowed it down, made it a much longer fall. You had the entire series of X-Wing books, which were not the entire series, but a good portion of it. And speaking of the X-Wing and Legends, the X-Wing book series and Legends, the Legends continuity had a much better conclusion to Coruscant. One nice thing about Legends I kind of like is how Coruscant is shown to be historically the big important planet in the galaxy. Like it's well in canon it's alluded to, but the New Republic just told in canon just says nah, we're not gonna bother too much with Coruscant. In canon, I mean in Legends they did because of the historic precedent of the biggest power ruling from Coruscant. They had the historic precedence and nice, easy to explain. I really don't like how Coruscant was just kind of left in shambles, practically, after, or what appears to be practically, after the Empire surrendered. I liked the Legends version there, but I like Legends overall, like for the fall of the Empire. But I liked how it was a slower fall, more Imperial rulers declared themselves warlords, which I think for such a big galactic empire you lose your leader. Yeah, especially on the fringe territories, you'll have them declaring themselves practically independent. You know, there was a lot of them, but you also had what was it? Um, what was his name? And that one Warlord Zinj, you had him who essentially a sizable remnant. Then you had a bunch of other kind of shoot offs and all that. Then you had Thrawn coming in. You had the Empire Reborn. Okay, the Emperor being reborn might have been a little weird, but I just kind of ignore that in my head canon myself. But still, it's so much better. Then you had a Grand Admiral come back and really reunite the Empire. And, well, when Swan in Legends reunited the Empire, well, it stayed much better together. So yeah. So I do want to say that there was some fragmentation, but it stayed larger than it was before. Something that I kind of liked, and then, of course, then our Emperor Palpatine being reborn. Okay, that was a bit weird, but and all that. But I kind of ignored that. But when you look at Thrawn and then his legacy, you can see that he kind of brought the Empire back together, but it still was going to fall for the practicality of the story. It would have fallen again. But I did like how it went. Okay, so it got together, but he had but his legacy really is what ended the Empire, because he basically groomed an Imperial captain, Captain Pelion, to, well, to practically succeed him, and not that it didn't happen that way, but after it was until after Thrawn and all that where the Empire was able to pretty much surrender to the New Republic and end it. And no, I also the treaty name that ended the Empire and Legends might be a little more weird, but I just kind of like I felt like maybe it was a bit more realistic for such a large empire. Because look at what happened in our own world when the Austrian-Hungarian Empire dispersed. All those states that popped up. Then you had, and that. Granted, that was somewhat controlled by the Allied powers, but still, maybe that's more the Canon variation, but not really. Or let's look at the breakup of Yugoslavia. That's probably more likely, basically a civil war in a sense, in the empire. I feel like, but that may not be best. Just like historic empires as a whole, they break up and well, they become multiple states. They fall. It's not that they always fall to one government. It sometimes happens. Look at the Byzantine Empire falling to the Ottoman Empire, but that was not always the case. Some empires fell and became into one power, but only a fraction of their territory became part of that new empire that overthrew them, became their own empires of state. That's what I really liked about the Legends continuity for it, is how you had the initial fracturing. You had the initial fracturing after the death of Palpatine. Then you had a military leader 5 years later, well, after returning to the galaxy, or the known galaxy I should say, reuniting it, but eventually being defeated, but leaving the legacy that would allow for an official end to the Empire. Well, most of the Empire would agree to it. That does not happen in Canon. Granted, maybe Canon has some more realistic stuff going in the sense where the Empire has like no power left to even surrender with. But I kind of like how it has some ability to actually surrender and keep it up. Cause sure, you defeat the biggest military force left in the Empire on Jakku. Then the head of state, the Grand Vizier of the Empire, is willing to surrender from long before that, but you wouldn't let him because he had no way to practically do it. And even after the battle at Jakku, yeah, Masamida, he surrendered and all that to Galactic Concordance, but would anyone really listen to him? He was during the Aftermath trilogy, he was essentially a figurehead and had no power. Did he really have the power to surrender the Empire to the New Republic? No, he didn't. In all honesty, he did not. In Legends, in Pelion, he had authority. Sure, he had the Imperial Ruling Council, the Moths, that he kind of had to also, but he was practically the head of the empire at that point, and as thus could easily say the empire agree to the empire surrendering. So yeah. uh So I feel like the Legends had a better break up the Galactic Empire because I really don't think that it would have, well, broken up as quickly as it had in canon at least. So yeah, so there is that to say, well, the least. I do find it a much better than Legends, much better than canon. Not that it's still the greatest, but I just feel like Legends had a better one, and like how the Empire never really truly gave up, which they still can, but they practically are. But it's not really the Empire anymore. I don't know why. It's really hard to say a lot, but yeah, that's just what I'm going to leave it as. I prefer the end of the Empire in Legends as opposed to Ken. But I want to hear from you. Let me know, what do you think about the end of the Empire? Would you prefer the canon version or the more convoluted Legends version? Yes, the Legends version perhaps is a lot more convoluted, but the canon version is a bit abrupt and lacking in its conclusion. But the canon one had to set up for the Force Awakens. Legends did not have to deal with that. They could just write a story. You had no future plot points to account for, like the First Order. But other than that, hey, it is what it is. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below. What did you think of the fall of the Galactic Empire in Legends of Canon? Which did you prefer? And as always, have a good day or good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.